Welcome to We Need to Talk, the podcast that features a series of conversations aimed at shedding light on issues surrounding women. I am your host, Leniva Hodge, and this is a space where women can discuss the issues we've been forced to barely whisper. As women, we know we need to talk means things are at a point where they must be addressed now. So join us as we tackle conversations that are necessary, even if they make you slightly uncomfortable. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of We Need to Talk. I hope that today's episode will leave you enlightened, it will leave you inspired, and that you can take something away from today's episode. I am immensely excited to finally welcome to the studios virtually Mrs. Roberta Rose Collins. She is a board certified health and wellness coach. And we're going to be really getting into the conversation of overall health and wellness, as that is our theme for this month. And we are going to explore what that looks like. So grab a drink, grab your snacks, settle in, join the conversation because we need to talk. I'll give you a little bit of a background on Mrs. Roberta Rose Collins. She has dedicated her life to transforming lives through her organization, Yes She Can, pioneering initiatives that promote health, wellness, and community empowerment. Recently, she became one of only two national board certified health and wellness coaches in Trinidad and Tobago, and there are only 10,000 health coaches globally that are national board certified health and wellness coaches. So that's a major um, accomplishment, Roberta, and congratulations to you on that. I know you recently became, and so this is an excerpt from the Newsday newspaper in Trinidad that they did a profile on you for International Women's Day this year. So congratulations and welcome to We Need to Talk.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. This is as exciting for me as it is for you.
Great. So let's just jump right into the conversation. National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach. Now, that is a mouthful. What exactly is that? What does a National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach do?
It is a mouthful, but it's really, really very simple. Basically, what I do is guide individuals or groups in achieving their health and wellness goals using evidence-based practices. Yeah, so I would help clients with nutrition, exercise, lifestyle changes, stress management, and overall well-being. So it's a holistic approach to wellness.
Nice. And I know if viewers remember when I did that episode introducing this month's topic, we spoke a little bit about what exactly is health and wellness. So, from the national board certified health and wellness coach, let's walk through what is health and wellness.
So I would say health and wellness, it's so much more than we think. So a lot of times people talk about health, they think about just eating or exercise. General wellness speaks to so much more. You have relationships, spirituality, things like your job. All these elements come together, and the way you um treat with those things come together to make you a well person. So, for instance, you are eating well, you exercising, but you have a very high stress life. You wouldn't consider that person well
Mm.
because with that stress comes a lot of negative things and would impact on your body negatively. So like I may have had a client who, for instance, they doing the right things, they're eating well, exercising, and all of that. But because of the levels of stress in their life, they're not seeing progress. They're
Okay.
not able to see you. So they're working out hard at the gym. There's no weight loss. They're eating smaller portions, but they're not seeing that showing on their bodies the way that they would like it to. And so general wellness really brings all of those pieces together to ensure that so as a health coach, what I do is I would help assess somebody, see what are some of the areas that they are not exactly where they need to be,
Mhm.
and help them to find their way there.
Okay. Okay. So it speaks then to a balance. You need to have the nutrition, we need to have the health factors, the exercise, but we also need to consider external factors to our life, the social impact. So whether that's your job or relationships, whether that relationship is parents or children, an intimate partner, all of those friends, all of those external factors you're saying then plays a major role in our overall health and wellness.
Definitely, exactly that. Because as you can imagine, if you are, for instance, let's take something as sleep.
Mm.
We know that we should get, uh, say, about 7, 8 hours sleep every night. A lot of times we're not getting that sleep because we are overwhelmed, generally with life. Our minds are going, we
Mhm.
are overexhausted, because we're so busy being busy,
Mhm.
that we're not giving ourselves enough time to just settle in. Um, and sometimes it's little things that can help to alleviate that situation. So we we sometimes stay on our phones um when we are winding down for sleep, and that's one of the worst things we can do. Um, Sometimes simple things like taking a few deep breaths. I recently did mindfulness based stress reduction, and it was a game changer for me. Learning to calm my mind because it gets very busy, learning to check in with myself, just do a body scan, see how my body feels, being very mindful, and being mindful in our daily activities.
Mhm.
So something as simple as eating, Glenifa. You We just sometimes just go through our food. We can take a meal and have such a mindful eating experience that allows for our bodies to be nourished differently. Think about where the carrot came from, feel it, look at it, you know, taste it,
Mhm.
and really connect with our food. That helps so much in our digestion.
So it's
So
not it's
it's
not
so
just
many
it's not
little.
just eating for eating, but
I know.
it's eating for nourishment, and recognizing the importance of what is actually in that meal that we're putting into our bodies.
Yes, and how it benefits our bodies.
Mhm. Interesting. We are going to be speaking with a health and nutrition expert um, in one of the upcoming episodes. So it's interesting to hear those synergies and how that connects. So I'm going to be really looking forward to exploring that aspect with her when she is in. But
Yeah.
it it shows how it's all connected. All of this leads into being a mindful and helpful well-being.
And that's where wellness comes in. You know, a well person, is so much more than just physical wellness. You know, so yeah, it all comes together, mind, body, and soul.
Good. So, how did we get here? How did you get here? What was your journey to becoming a board certified health and wellness coach?
Yeah, it's interestingly, and as your viewers should know, I lived on Anguilla for a little bit, just about 5 years, and that's where I would have met you.
Yes.
Um, I actually started my um my course of study while I was in Anguilla.
Mm.
Anguilla is just the perfect place to do things like that. Nice and quiet.
When you think of mindfulness and wellness, Anguilla must be top of the list. It is
Oh,
it is
definitely.
clearly the space and place to come and get away from it all. So the three beaches, pick one.
Definitely. Definitely. So I will go a little further back. When I was in my late 30s, so I would say all my life, up to a certain point, I was ill in some way, form, or fashion. As a child, I don't remember being a well child. It was always me being sick of something or the other. Um, and for many years, up until my late 30s, when I was diagnosed with celiac disease, I was sick. I was not a well person. At the age of 23, 24, I had a bilateral oophorectomy and a hysterectomy at that tender age. Um, and because I had no other choice, I just had to do that.
Mhm.
And
So
from
repeat.
from there,
There's a reason. Repeat the age that you did that
yeah, I
first
would have been
time.
23,
Okay.
23 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
I toggle between 23 and 24. But I really believe it was closer to 23. It's a long time ago,
Okay.
Neva, a long, long time ago.
Not that long ago, Roberta.
Yeah, long time ago. And
You don't look a day over 30.
but yeah, and from there going forward, I have had several surgeries and or procedures, over my life. And it was with the diagnosis of celiac disease, a lot of things made sense.
Okay.
So celiac disease
Mhm.
is an autoimmune disease. Basically, my body, the ingestion of wheat and gluten causes my body to attack itself, basically.
Mhm.
So it prevents me from being able to uh, absorb nutrients properly when I'm in that sick state. And so because of that, it makes a lot of sense why over the years I was ill for so long, because that's something that I would have been born with and just nobody would have known. Um, it's it's now a little bit more easily diagnosed,
Mhm.
but it wasn't that way when I was younger.
I could imagine,
Um,
and there's wheat and gluten in so many things that I think
everything.
as Caribbean people in particular, we love our bread, and it's certain growing up Trinidadian.
Oh,
It's
I'm not gonna say. Please remember the island I am from. We have it in all forms.
right.
Of course,
Mhm.
everybody goes roti.
Of
That's
of
the
yes, you have
that's
roti
the,
and
the
your
most
bus up
common one.
shots, and so I'm
Yeah.
certain growing up in Trinidad, and being exposed to all of those triggers would have
Yes.
really been one of the things that accounted for why you were always
Yeah.
unwell.
It wreaked havoc in my body, basically. Um, but when I was diagnosed with celiac, I had to make lifestyle changes because there's no pill to pop. It's really lifestyle changes. I have to, remove gluten from my diet totally. I couldn't have a little bit. It wasn't like, oh, I can just take a little bit, pop a pill. No, it was just, to remove it totally. And when I did that, um, I was at the time considered obese. And when I did that, when I had that situation, I started to find myself being, well, feeling healthier. Let's just start with that. So I was feeling healthier, and I started to add a little bit of movement. At the time I didn't do any exercise, I'll be very honest. Um, and when I paired the movement and the eating better, um, my body changed. My body, not just my body physically changed, but the way I felt changed. And that was the beginning of me recognizing the importance of nutrition, the importance of taking care of myself, because I was a young mom. And to that point, all I did was take care of my husband and my child. I would put myself last, as most of us do.
we
And
we know, as
therefore,
women, we know that struggle very well.
yes. And so this is basically what happened. Having to make those lifestyle changes caused me to rethink things and recognize the importance of self-care and self-love. And Yes She Can basically was born out of that experience. Me wanting to share with other women that we shouldn't wait until we have a situation, until we are so sick, until we are, falling down on ourselves, to recognize the need to to do better where we are concerned, where our health is concerned. So that's really the benefit of, well, I would say the benefit for me, because that changed my life. Um, Being diagnosed with celiac disease, as awful as it sounds, gave me an opportunity to do better for myself. And I also took the opportunity, because that's just me. I am that type of person, to bring a few others along with me. So Yes She Can was formed to bring everybody else along with me. Um, to share that no matter who you are, no matter your age, because I was not 20 when I made that lifestyle change. I went from be living a sedentary lifestyle, to running half marathons, completing a triathlon, being a part of a dragon boat team, completing hardcore Caribbean, um, running several 5Ks, and being in the best health of my entire life. That was close to 40.
Because yes, she can.
Because Yes She Can.
I love that. I love how your story resonates and can resonate with so many different persons, and that it's not too late to start. Maybe I myself needed to hear that message today, because there have been so many stories that you shared with me that has personally resonated with me. And there's a reason I asked you to go back and to repeat the age that you were when you had the bilateral oophorectomy and hysterectomy. Because on a previous episode, I shared with my audience a little bit of my own story. And I mentioned someone without mentioning a name, but it really was having a conversation with you that got me through that period in my life where I had to make that decision, where I had to go through something similar, and it sort of conditions my mind for what could have been my reality, because it was yours, and it was yours from a much younger age than it would have been for me. Almost 10 years, almost 10 years younger for you than it would have been for
Right.
me at the time. And so again, I always speak about the power of conversation. And I think if throughout my life, there's always been conversations that have made major impacts. But when it comes to health and wellness and having conversations about the things that affect us as women in particular, the issues that affect us in particular, we didn't have these spaces. We didn't
Yeah.
necessarily have the spaces where you can tune in and hear somebody talk about it, where you can have open conversations. It was more through either by chance or by fate, and I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. But at the same time, I think it's important that we allow room and space for these conversations to happen on a wider scale so that we can reach more women who may be going through the same things. So you sharing your story of coping with celiac disease and being able to progress and move forward and change your life from being completely unwell for the majority of your life up until that point to running half marathons and 5Ks and being in the best health of your life. That is absolutely inspiring.
And it's so true. Niva, these conversations need to happen more often. So, kudos to you for opening these conversations up using your platform, because a lot of it, we grew up with a lot of this being taboo. You
Mm-hmm.
don't talk about things, you don't share. And it's why I openly share. Um, because I understood if I had somebody to speak to, or who would have shared when I was going through, the challenges that I would have faced as a 23, 24-year old, um, navigating menopause. I mean, I say to people, my mother was not even going through menopause yet when
Mm-hmm.
I went through menopause.
Ooh,
So wrap your head around that. There was
yes.
absolutely no one to talk to. My friends were just starting families. So nobody else was
Mm-hmm.
going through what I was going through. And so for me, it's really, really important to be very open in sharing the journey and how things can turn out. Because we went from being really sick to actually being the healthiest. I was not as healthy as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And you know it really speaks to the power of sharing. um it really, really does.
Yeah, I am. I think just letting some of what you just said soak in, because that is a jarring reality. That at 23, when you went through menopause, your mom had not been through menopause at that point. Your friends are starting families,
Yeah.
and so no one thinks that you need to have a conversation with a 23-year-old who a 23-year-old, let's be real, for some persons, huh, maybe they've just started seeing their period maybe about 10 years, about less than that for
Yeah.
some,
Yeah.
who would think that you would be needing to have that conversation with someone so soon. But the reality
Yeah.
is that that was your reality, and that it is the reality for so many other women who, for various reasons, whether through surgery or through perimenopause, went through menopause at premature menopause, sorry, um, at a very early stage. And so I know today we're speaking general health and wellness, but that is such a part of your story that we could not touch on it.
Yeah.
But since starting the show, there's so many women that came up and go, when are we going to talk about menopause? And so that is, I want to do it justice and to
Yes.
dedicate an entire show to speaking about that. And it's my hope that, we don't just talk about menopause, because I know that a lot of my audience, they're older and getting closer to what, to thinking about menopause. But I think I also want to speak to younger girls about
Yeah.
what it means in having their period and what that looks like for them, and to not be ashamed of it. And there's so much that surrounds that, and there's so much that surrounds having a period or not having a period, and what that means for us as women and our bodies, yet we don't talk about it.
Yeah. It's true, and you're right. You can probably do a whole series of conversations on menopause.
Yeah.
And it's not just, as you rightfully said, it's not just menopause. It's how do we care for our bodies
Mm-hmm.
through the different stages of our lives. A child needs a particular level of care in terms of nutrition. A young lady who's just started a period, she also needs a particular level of care for herself. A pregnant mother needs a
Mm.
particular level of care.
Yes.
So all through our lives as women, because we go through quite a lot of changes, we need to understand, and the conversation needs to be had with our young women, that health and wellness means something different at different stages in our lives. So,
Mm.
for instance, a pregnant mother, a pregnant woman, she needs to take a different type of vitamin
Right.
to ensure that she is replacing what her body, what the fetus is taking from her. Um, we need to have these conversations. We need women to know that as you get older, you probably need to do a little bit more of a particular type of exercise, or you need to take a little bit more of a particular type of vitamin, or you need to supplement yourself in a particular way because now you are losing certain minerals in your body, certain things are happening to you that you need to support. And so on and that's why I say, it's more than just menopause. It's really, how do we ensure that the conversations around caring for ourselves, ensuring our health and wellness throughout our lives and at different points. We sometimes have this uh, impression that is only when people get older they need to supplement or take care of
Mm-hmm.
themselves a particular way. So youth is wasted away on climbing and drinking and partying and all of that, and not necessarily, and nothing is wrong with any of that. But we also need to be mindful that we need to care for our bodies. It's the only one we have.
Mm.
It's the only
Yes.
one we will have.
Right. And no amount of transplants can change that.
Yes.
Because I think, I don't know whether it's media that we're exposed to. We think, oh well, you get rid of that part, you replace it. That's not how it works.
No.
You're given you're
No. It
given
is
you're
this.
given one body.
You're given one body, and as I mentioned before, we really should be more mindful with how we care for that one body, and the conversations, the training, the information should be given um to our children so
Mm.
that they grow with that, and they don't wait until, like me, almost 40, before you recognize the need for a lifestyle change. Young women specifically, and I say that I speak to women mostly because I am a woman,
Mhm.
but young women especially need to be taught that self-care is the least selfish thing you can do for yourself. It's the least selfish thing. We grew up believing that we have to take care of everybody else before us. We put ourselves last.
Mhm.
And what I learned through my journey on my own transformation, is that once I was in a healthier place, once I was in a better place mentally and physically, everybody else around me benefited from that. And so there's a natural ripple effect on when, as the mother, as the woman in a house, you are taking care of yourself. Just it just naturally trickles down. I remember, you know, when I started to eat differently, my husband started to eat different. Like, it's just natural because I'm buying healthier things. So automatically we switch out the milks and all of that. All of a sudden you using unsweetened milk instead of, it just naturally happens. But the challenge is that sometimes it takes an illness or a bad situation for us to get to that place, when what we should be doing is training our young people to care for themselves from go,
Mm.
so they don't get there.
So that you're not trying to reverse,
Correct.
but that you are in this mode of operation from the beginning.
Correct. So that you are proactive and not reactive.
Right. You know, you when you were speaking, and it only makes sense. You know, there's this term, happy wife, happy life. And I know a lot of people attach so many meanings to what that looks like, and it isn't necessarily always in the negative. You know,
Right.
it's not to say, it's not, at least my take from it isn't necessarily saying, oh well, make your wife happy and your life will be happy, but more, if your wife, if the woman in your life, the mother in the home, the wife, uh, whoever it is, that woman in your life, if she is happy, healthy, mentally secure,
Yeah.
then everything else falls into place, because rightfully, as you said, who's doing the shopping?
Mhm.
Who is, as women, we tend to be the driving forces, and we are more than likely to be preparing the meals. We're likely to be doing
Yes.
the shopping. And so
Hmm.
when our lifestyle changes, those around us, because we ain't cooking 4 and 5 different meals.
No.
You know, so it is just a ripple effect once we are in a position to be able to take care of ourselves.
And even recreation. Think about
Mm-hmm.
it. If a mom is physically active, the kids will be physically active. If that's where she starts from, go,
Mm-hmm.
because then she wants to go to the park to jog.
Yes.
The kids now have the opportunity to go to play. All of a sudden we're outdoors. If all I want to do as the mom, because I mean, and I'm not saying that the dads don't take the kids to go do these things. I'm just saying most of the times
Mm-hmm.
the mother is in charge of those schedules. And so it's really and again, I would say, yeah, for me, that was one of the big messages that I would have shared through Yes She Can. um Outside of let's not wait, when we realize that we have that power to move our families in a healthier direction, don't we want the best for them? Don't we want the best for everybody concerned? And if the answer is yes, then let's do that. Let's move ourselves and our families in a healthier, more well space.
So, one of the things that through this medium, um, that's important to me is to show up in my most authentic self. What would you say to someone like me who may be struggling with their overall health and wellness, and who is struggling to get on that path? Wants to, but there's so many
Yeah.
barriers, and so I think for me it really resonated when you said you can eat right, you can exercise, but if there's a lot else going on and it's a high stress life, um that that in and of itself can be a barrier. What would you say to someone like me who wants to get there and don't want to wait until there is illness, quote unquote illness, something that is detrimental to then want to change?
So I would tell you simply what I know worked for me,
Mhm,
which is one step, one change.
mhm,
Commit to one thing. You see, sometimes we want everything to happen all at once. But if we just commit to one change, so let's say, for instance, you recognize that you don't drink enough water. That's something that you wanted to make a change with because you recognize the importance of hydration. Then I remember when I was at the when I was doing my health coach training, there was a term that was taught to us called crowding out, and it's something that I really embraced. And sometimes you say, I want to stop drinking so much soft drink. I want to stop drinking it, blah 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 blah. We drinking too much of this and we doing too much of that. And it was really a mindset shift, right? So instead of saying what you do not want,
mhm.
add something that you want. So you wanna drink more water, do that. So add, say I'm going to drink X amount of glasses of water per day. If you're drinking the water, you're naturally not going to be drinking so much
Ah,
sodas. And so I learned to start with a small step and build on that.
okay.
I learned to and I will share that the most sustainable way of change is doing that. Because when we try to make too much change all at once, it gets hard, as it often does.
It can, it
And
can it
then
can be overwhelming as well.
it, it will become overwhelming. And then the baby and the bathwater gets thrown out.
Mm,
A lot of times when we become overwhelmed, we don't remember that we may have made certain strides. We just see that we're not doing anything right.
yes.
And so small steps to change, one thing at a time. When you've mastered one, you move on to something else because that's how you make sustainable change, which is what you want to attain. You want to work towards sustainable change because that is what's going to keep you there.
Yeah.
And also, like, be very specific about it. So we all know about SMART goals, and so make sure that when you identify something that you want to work on, that you write it down, that you pin. So don't just say, well, I want to exercise more. Mm, that's not going to take you very far. If you say on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3:30 p.m., I'm going to walk for 45 minutes to an hour. That's very specific. That's measurable. It's time bound. You know exactly what you are going to be doing. And therefore, your chances of, because now you can measure it. You can
Yes.
see whether or not you actually did that. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's not just up in the air. It's not just any kind of exercise, anytime. It's something that you can hold yourself accountable to. And so if there was something that you would like to change, ensure that you do it in such a way that you can hold yourself accountable. And one of the biggest benefits of having a health coach is just that, having somebody to be accountable to.
Mm.
Um, because as a health coach, I will work with my client to ensure that they are meeting their goals. I will be the one who would be there, if there was a client comes and whatever goal they set, they have not reached, then we break that down. We figure out, is the goal too big?
Okay.
Are you just not ready for this size goal right now? What are the steps? Let's break it down. Let's work through it. Because people don't fail. It's in well, I would say that it's not your failure, but it could be that what you were looking to do, we just didn't do all the right steps to get there, and or to get you there easily.
Okay. So you mentioned clients.
Yes.
Are you onboarding clients? For anyone that's listening.
Yeah. So I have, I would say yes.
Okay.
Um, it's one of my goals right now. I'm still trying to find my niche area, to be very honest. Um, so my clients or the people that I speak to right now is just general wellness.
Okay.
Um, I I want to say I also have a huge project that I'm working on right now that's taking up a little bit of my time.
Oh,
And
we're gonna speak about that.
but I'm working towards getting a little bit more my day a little bit more structured so that I can support more people. Because the truth is, this is really where my passion lies. My goal is to support as many people as possible, to find the happiness that I know exists because I found it.
Okay. And so, if anyone was interested in your services, how could they contact you?
So you have my number is and I'm on WhatsApp. It's 868. I have to remember that. So it's 1-868-389-9046. My email address is meetcoachroberta@gmail.com. And I am also on social media as Roberta Rose Collins Health Coach.
Excellent. So, who knows? Someone listening, maybe someone in studio, may decide that may decide that this is the path that they want to go, and will reach out, and hopefully there's someone out there that can benefit from this. Now, you mentioned, and
And
you got there before I did, and I know your days are very hectic. I am so appreciative that you have taken some time out to sit and speak with me. We tried this before, but here we are. And this thing that has taken up so much of your time, I think it is an amazing, amazing thing that you do. And so I would really like for you to expound and to explain exactly what this awesome thing
All right. So I am going to guess
is.
that you're talking about a project that is managed through my NGO. Yes, you can. And it's called Royalty for a Night.
Royalty for a
And
night.
Royalty for a Night. And as the name suggests, we're in the business of helping persons feel really, really awesome on a one specific night, which is graduation or prom, as the younger persons call it now. I grew up calling it graduation ball.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, I know. I just told my age. And so yeah, through the project we collect gently worn and new formal wear and distribute to graduating secondary school students who may have had a little bit of a challenge attending their graduation because of financial constraints. As we all know, that prom night is a big ticket item for
Yes.
parents.
Yes.
And so we do what we can to support those who may not have ordinarily had a chance to attend.
So
So,
I know a little bit more in terms of the operations and how huge this really is and why it's taking up so much of your time. So through your collections, you run a period of time where you collect dresses at different locations, their drop off locations, and then you do
mhm.
you sort, you go through all of those, and then you do distribution.
Yes, exactly. So we do that. So it spans over a period of a few months because we allow for persons who have, an appropriate piece of formal wear that they may have worn once. We get a lot of dresses,
Mhm.
especially um where you may have purchased it for, women, right?
Yes,
We
yes,
buy
yes.
elaborate pieces, and sometimes it's a statement piece. You're not going to wear it again, and it's just there, um, hung in your closet,
Collecting
and
dust.
it has a collecting dust, but it has such a beautiful memory,
Hmm.
and you look at it and you smile, but it just stays there. This project gives that person an opportunity to pass that on to a deserving young woman, as for the dresses, who they studied really hard, for all the years going to secondary school. They're doing well. They everything is going well for them, but their parents just can't afford to send them. And the truth is that was my story. Um, it's not how this project started, but it's what my connection to this project is. I was that girl.
Ah,
I was the girl whose parents just could not pay for, because it's the ticket for the graduation, it's the hair and the makeup
makeup.
and the shoes and the dress and all the accessories, everything that goes with it. And when it's all added up, they couldn't do it. And my aunt stepped in and she was like, "What do you mean? She has to go to graduation. She has to go to her ball. That's not a question." And it was one of the best nights of my life. Like, I remember every, I promise you, almost every detail of that night. I remember, and knowing what an impact that makes, you know, not just on, it's so much more than just going to that ball. It speaks to that young lady and that young man's self-esteem as well. Because when you are sitting next to your friend for 5, 6 years um, at school, and then they get to go when you don't,
Mm-hmm.
It does something. It does something to you.
Yes.
I do remember, having my friends talk about how their dress was going to be, and I couldn't enter those conversations
Ah,
because I had no, so I would have been secluded, and you know it was not a pleasant experience not being able to celebrate with your friends, just because your parents can't afford to send you. So this is the project that's taking up my time right now. It's purely a labor of love. It's something that takes a lot out of me, but it gives back so much. And I feel very blessed and privileged to be in a position to be that conduit between the person who has something to give and the young lady or the young man who is in need of that support.
yeah. Uh, I personally, I love the sustainability factor of this
Yes.
project because, as you said, so many times we go, we purchase a dress, and then we never wear it again. I love that it finds new life. It is repurposed on average. And how long have you been doing this project?
This is the eighth year.
Eighth year. On average, how many dresses do you get annually?
That is a tough one.
Mm.
This year for the first time we actually doing an inventory of them, but I can tell you how many we've served over the
Oh,
years.
okay.
And so last year alone was over 700 students just in
I,
1 year.
I just want that number to sink in. 700 students were able to
Yeah,
receive a dress that they
or
may
a
have,
suit.
a suit that they may
Yeah,
have otherwise not been able to get.
correct.
Excellent.
Yes,
Excellent.
that's in 1 year. Last year was our biggest year. I think post COVID, um, there were so many students who didn't get an opportunity to graduate during COVID, and I, I I think parents felt a little bit more strongly about trying to get their students, their children, sorry, to enjoy that
That
moment. So
experience, yes.
yeah, it was, and it really is amazing. We have some pretty incredible stories coming out of it. You have sometimes a young lady would say, their father passed away. I remember last year we had a young lady, her dad passed away, and she didn't feel like she wanted to go to grad anymore because she knew it was going to be a strain for her mom,
Mm.
but it's something her father always wanted for her. And so being able to come, I think she got shoes, she got her jewelry, because we do accessories as well. And makeup artists with hairdressers, nail techs, they donate their services as well, free of charge to these young people. And I think she went away with almost a full package, but she also went away being able to honor her father and his wish. And I remember she said red was his favorite color, and she got herself a red dress. And to be able to, like, I'm getting goosebumps right now
I'm,
talking
I'm,
about
I'm,
it.
I'm getting goosebumps listening to you. So,
Yeah, to be able to facilitate something like that is pretty amazing. We had another young lady who they lost everything in a fire 2 weeks before her graduation, and her mom saw the ad for it, and she was like, they'll come try. I still have a picture. We don't take photos of the students. We don't post photos of the students, but her mom asked me to take a picture of them. Um, and I still have it in my phone, and I look at it ever so often because it reminds me of how important something like this is, and how diverse it is in terms of what it gives. Because for her daughter's birthday was the next day, the day after she got her dress, and it was, yeah, words can't describe, the emotions of that day for that mother and her child.
Roberta, you are doing excellent work through your health and wellness coaching through your nonprofit organization, Yes She Can, and this project, Royalty for a Night. Again, congratulations to you and thank you
Thank you.
for all the work that you do. I am immensely pleased that we could have this conversation, no longer just on the phone, not just the two of us, but that we can bring this conversation to the many persons who tune in every week. I'm so thankful to those persons. Thankful to you for being here. This is not the end of our conversation. I'm certain you'll be back. I don't know if you have any plans to be back in Anguilla anytime soon, but because of technology, we can bring you in for a little bit. So again,
Yes. God
thank
bless
you.
technology.
But I still do hope to see you in Anguilla sometime
Oh,
soon.
trust me. Anguilla is not a place that you could have lived for as long as I have. I mean, I'm not one to return. I do long to return to Anguilla. So you guys will see me, I'm sure. I do understand why you all have so much repeat
Yes,
visitors to the island because yeah, it's just one of those magical places that once you've touched the sand, you know how
yes,
the turtles know after when a turtle is hatched when and they sorry they go through they walk on the sand so that imprints in them so they return to that same
same,
spot. I
yes.
feel that's what Anguilla sand does.
Ah,
So Anguilla sand makes turtles out of everybody.
there you go. Roberta, thank you so very much for joining us here on We
It
Need to
was a
Talk.
pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. This has been another enlightening episode of We Need to Talk. I do hope that something in this conversation resonates with at least just one of you, and that there's something that you can take away from this, that you leave enlightened and educated. Feel free to hit Roberta up on any of her platforms if you find yourself in need of her services. And again, as always, join the conversation online. We are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, we are on Instagram, GLH Productions. Find us, like, comment, share, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you back here next week because we need to talk.
Okay.